Hi, my friend Marge Steinhag-Fenelon here. I'd like to talk to you today about the importance of grieving well. There is a difference. There's a difference between just grieving or grieving poorly or grieving well. What do I mean by grieving well? Well, here's how it goes. When you're experiencing loss, it's important to acknowledge the loss in terms of what it means for you and how you really feel about it. Then it's important to realize you're just a human being. You're not God. You can't will these feelings away. You can't pretend that nothing bad happened. It's a real thing. And so we need to acknowledge that. Acknowledge the fact that, wow, something really bad happened and it has affected me such and such way. And I feel like this, whatever it is, name it, because of that. And allow yourself the opportunity to slow down and even to separate yourself from your regular life. Now, this is very different from moping, from closing yourself off to the world. It's very different from self-pity. And here's how. Self-pity is, oh, this only happens to me. Why does this only happen to me? Why did this have to happen to me? Oh, I'm never going to feel the same again. I'm always going to be miserable. And I wish the world would just feel sorry for me because I feel sorry for myself. I wish everyone would just understand that I'm miserable and then just accept that and be nice to me because of that. That's self-pity. That's self-pity. Closing yourself off to the world, moping. I don't want to see anyone. I don't want to talk to anyone. You stop going to the places that you normally go to. Maybe there are friends that you go walking with, or maybe there's a coffee shop you frequent, whatever it is. Maybe there's a party that you cancel out on. That's not a good thing. Secluding yourself from others is not a good thing if you do it for the wrong reasons. If you do it long term or as kind of a I'm going to show the world I'm miserable, or I can't go to this and this place because I'm so miserable. You see, the focus is on me and how miserable I feel. And notice that in the last many minutes that I've been talking to you, I didn't yet mention our Lord and his Blessed Mother. And there is the key. Because when we acknowledge these feelings, when we acknowledge that something really unpleasant has happened to us, when we've suffered a terrible loss, when we acknowledge it, that's not enough. It's not enough to just acknowledge that. We then need to go back to our Lord Jesus and say, I'm really miserable. This loss hurts. I don't understand why you've taken this or that from me. I don't understand why in your permissible will you've allowed this to happen to me. And it really hurts. And whatever your feelings are, I'm confused. I'm sad. I'm falling apart. I don't feel like being around other people. If you feel comfortable, and I hope you do, have a conversation with your Blessed Mother. Mother, help, just like a little kid. Be a little child again. Allow yourself to be that little child and turn to your mother and say, Mother, I am really hurting. Can I just sit here with you and let my sadness pour out into your hands? Take this sadness from me. Help me cope with it. You see, that's very different. And when you get to that point that, and I think a lot of us, not all of us, but I think most of us do, when we're grieving, we want to pull away from the rest of the world. And that's the time when we need to say, Lord, I don't want to be around people right now, but I want to be around you. Please come and sit with me. And you speak to my heart, please, Jesus. Blessed Mother, you speak to my heart because I don't know what to say. I'm so sad. I don't know how to handle this. You see, there's a big difference because when you turn this over to our Lord and to his Blessed Mother, there's a whole different aspect. It's, yes, I'm feeling terrible about this loss, but I'm not going to let it crush me. I'm going to instead turn it over to Jesus and Mary and ask for their help. That's grieving well. And letting other people know, to carry on, I'm so miserable and please feel sorry for me because I had this loss. And to bring it up again and again and again in every conversation, that's counterproductive. That is not helpful. But I personally think it's a good thing to let others know, hey, I've suffered this terrible loss. I'm grieving over this or that situation, this or that person who has passed away, whatever the case may be. I'm grieving because of this. So if you would just be patient with me as I work through it, I would appreciate it very much. You see, that's the right way to share it with others. People are going to notice, especially the people who know you well. They're going to notice that you're different. So it's okay to let them know why you're different. As long as you don't make your grief their grief, it's a good thing. Now let me give you two contrasting examples from my own life. So my dad died when I was 15. So I was a sophomore in high school. And it was very sudden. It was very sudden. He had a heart condition for some years, but his actual death came very fast. It hit me very hard, as you can imagine. I was very young. First real death I'd experienced, except for my grandfather, and I was a little bit removed from that in the sense that I was very young, and I loved my grandfather, but it wasn't the same as, say, losing a parent. It was a little bit removed. That's what I mean by that, is a generation removed. All right, so after my dad died, and not knowing how to handle this grief, not believing that there was anyone I could talk to about it, I decided, well, lots of people lose their dads, and I'm just going to be brave about this, and I'm just going to get right back to school, and I'm going to carry on as if nothing happened, and everything's going to be great. I'm just going to get right back into life and not let this get me down. Well, you know what happened? I made it about 2 weeks, and then I completely fell apart. Completely, to the point where I was paralyzed, couldn't get up to go to school. I was beside myself with emotions that I didn't even understand, much less know how to handle. And I shut down. In fact, it got so bad. It got so bad that I ended up in the hospital because a chronic condition I had became suddenly massively worse and made me very sick. And I ended up a number of days in the hospital. You see, that's not grieving well. not grieving well at all, because I didn't do any of the things that I explained to you toward the beginning of this video. I didn't acknowledge my feelings. I didn't acknowledge the impact of the loss. And I didn't turn it over completely to our Lord. I did pray, and I did mention it to Jesus and Mary, but I didn't really turn it all over to them for them to help me to heal and strengthen. That's the difference. Now, fast forward to more recent, as a matter of fact, yesterday, and that's why I felt called to make this video for you on this particular topic, to do this podcast for you. We had to put down our family dog. We'd had her for 13 years. We did not get her as a puppy, so she was at least 14 years, probably 15, could even have been a little older than 15 years. And she became very sick. She had been failing for some time. Her eyesight had diminished, her hearing had diminished, but she had some internal problems. We know she had internal bleeding. I'm not going to give you all the details because some people get squeamish about stuff like that. But the point is that our Miss Daisy, that we called her, she was so sick that it was clear that even if we medicated her or tried to put a Band-Aid on her condition, that wasn't the ultimate answer. And she was suffering. She was in great pain. She couldn't really eat much. It was not good. Let's just put it that way. Very lethargic, barely able to function. So I made the decision to put her down. And here's the flip side of what I did when my dad died, because I had learned with that experience that was certainly not the way to go. And so I have allowed myself to express to others, hey, I'm off. I know I'm off. I'm grieving over having to put down our family dog, who was very special to us. Can you just be patient with me? Give me a little time. And as for today, like last night, we were supposed to have an appointment. We were scheduled to have a repairman come to the house, and we realized, both my husband and we realized that, wow, we're really not up to this. We needed time to have nothing happening so that we could just get in touch with our hearts, our feelings, our Lord, our Blessed Mother. And so we canceled with the repairman. He was very good, very understanding, wonderful guy. That's the right way to grieve. We just need some time. Now, we rescheduled, and he'll be coming back. But we needed that time, and we gave ourselves permission to take that time to just get over the shock of it and to figure out how we felt, how was it impacting us, and what exactly were we feeling. And so we spent the evening crying sometimes, and then assessing what we were feeling. And as for myself, I gave myself permission to heal according to God's timing, not my own. So rather than say, oh, no, I'm just getting right back on the horse and riding, and I'm going to ignore all this because that's just foolishness. It was just a dog, and so on. So yeah, well, it was just a dog. But the way that loss affected me was, wow, it really hit me very, very hard. And then today I had some other appointments, and I made the decision I need a day to grieve, to really work on allowing our Lord and our Blessed Mother to lift the grief from me, to kind of get it out of my system, so to speak. It'll be a good long time before I'm 100% right again. But I needed a day to just ask the world, can you just be on pause for me so that I can work through this? And I think if you did this, I think you'll be surprised at how understanding people will be for you. Because that was definitely the case for me. People understood. They're like, okay, no problem. And all of today, I've allowed myself to just go with the flow. So I've done some work. I've done some things that make me feel better. Some things around the house. I've sat and watched the birds at the bird feeder. Things like that are just healing things. And lots of conversation with our Lord and his mother. And trying to figure out, where do I go from here? And asking God, please show me, where do I go from here? How do I continue working my way through this and then eventually out of it? That's the right way to grieve. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it too. I know you can grieve well. Just remember, please, the key points. That is to acknowledge the loss, acknowledge your feelings, allow yourself the privilege of feeling those feelings and giving yourself some space to work through them. That is so important. And all of that within the context of conversation, commitment, and surrender to our Lord and our Blessed Mother. And you'll get through it. I promise. I'll get through this. I promise. There's always light at the end of the darkness, and that light is our Lord Jesus Christ. Thanks for tuning in. I hope this video helps you to grieve well, or to go back and re-grieve well something that you didn't grieve well in the past. Please check out my website, margefenelon.com. My books are there, my other videos, podcasts, my blog is there. You can find out there how to book me for a speaking engagement. Lots of good resources for you there. And then please do me a favor, subscribe to my channel, share this podcast with others so that they too can learn how to grieve well, and consider giving a small contribution to my GiveSendGo campaign. That link is in the comments below. This helps me to continue to further my reach to others as together we lead the world to Christ through Mary. God bless you, my friend, and until soon.